Your product, basement hard luck. Basement hard
Pimps and
luck.
card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. Pimps and card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck.
Your product, basement hard luck. Basement hard
Pimps and
luck.
card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. Pimps and card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck.
Good morning and welcome to the Hard Luck Show. I'm your certified, qualified host, Steve Lucky Luciano. Hey, if you like the Hard Luck Show, hit the like button and subscribe. You can catch us here, the Hard Luck Show, once or twice a week. Juman!
Yeah! American Indian, Southern California, and elegant barbarian here with the old school once again.
Yeah! Old blue eyes.
That's right, Sean Lewis, certified audio professional engineer for the Hard Luck Show.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Coming at you hot, live, raining from the city of Santa Monica, California. Let's welcome back Diablo!
Yeah!
Diablo,
good evening,
what's up?
gentlemen.
What's up, G?
Not much, man. Just chilling with a feeling with my boys.
Yeah,
When I came
dog.
in, somebody said the old school crew.
Yeah.
Back from the early days.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be one of the original, guests.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
What was that? Maybe episode like 3?
Five.
Look at
Just
five,
live.
dude.
Right off the
five,
dome.
bro.
Yeah,
and I remember I was just looking at that picture the other day.
Yeah.
When we were all over there at the Orange County spot.
Yeah.
Against that
Right.
wall.
That was cool, man.
Yeah.
That was real cool.
The
man.
law offices.
But you guys are like my family, anyways, man. Without show or with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, doggy.
We've
But,
been trying to get D was supposed to come in a few times,
Yeah.
but he's got a lot of things going on in his life that
What?
maybe he didn't have going on before.
What you got going on?
Man, I made another human in this world. Another Mexican with a white T-shirt on. Just what the world needed again.
Yeah.
But I got a little one.
He's
and,
a mini me.
Yeah,
How old is he?
he's 5 months. He's 5 months yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow. 5 months.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's a little.
That's a trip.
He's a little champion, but he gives me hell. Like when I take care of him, I take care of him. 3 times a week, all day. And I told somebody, "Hey man, come over here and meet me." I said, "Man, I can't today. I'm babysitting." And then my buddy later on, he said, "Hey man, who's them pictures you taking with that baby?" And I said, "That's my son, man." He said, "Really?" He's like, "Is that who you were babysitting the other day?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Man, that's not babysitting when it's your own child."
Yeah, you're not babysitting your own kid.
Yeah, he said, "That's called being a father."
Yeah, it's called that's your
It's
kid.
handling my business.
Yeah. Right. So 3 times a week, like what is it? Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday. No, it's Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. That's why it's hard for me to get down here because the Friday session,
Right.
I take care of him from like 1 until 8:30 p.m.
And so what do you do when you go down to Santa Monica and you start doing the turntables when the homeless people come around and bother? What do you do with the kid? Would you set him down on a rocker or what?
Man, I haven't done that in a minute.
Yeah.
because it's just fun. I'll probably do it again, but I told the dude that brings the speakers out because Jimmy brings the speakers out.
Yeah.
And I just bring the tables and the computer. But I just hate getting beat down by that sun.
Yeah, it's
I'm like
tough.
the Wicked Witch from the West that start melting, man. But he said he's gonna get what is that thing called
A tarp?
something
Like an umbrella or
Yeah.
shade or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
sunshade. So what? So what is Papa Diablo? I mean, I gotta think that there are some people who might think that Diablo doesn't know how to care for a 5-month-old baby overnight.
That's true, probably
But-
for a minute.
But you do. Obviously,
Yeah, I
you
do,
love
I
your
do.
son.
I love him.
You love being a dad. So what are the tips? What do you do? I mean, how does it go? You got bottles? You got a breast pump?
No, we use formula, but she brings them pre-filled with that distilled water, and like it's a learning process. I go online and read right away, like how long can I leave this in the fridge for, stuff like that. Can I take him out in the sun? And it said no until he's 6 months. Before direct sunlight can really beat him up,
Yeah.
or not beat him up. Let it beat me up, but
Yeah.
Right.
but
right.
you got to have shades on him. And I got him some little lokes.
Yeah, you
But he's
did.
kind of wild. He moves around a lot, so I want to see if I could find some like more like goggles where they stay on and you
Like
know.
with like a little wrap around. Or
yeah, like
something.
Kumo D or something.
Yeah, right.
Might just have to get little kids little band-aids and just tape them on down there so things don't move.
Are
Yeah,
you
man.
are you introducing him to any music yet? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you didn't see I seen him playing some fucking instruments.
Yeah, he likes
right.
to beat a little drum and stuff, but but you know what song he likes? He likes another one, Bites the Dust.
He likes that.
I was going through YouTube and he heard the beat. He stopped crying and he turned around and looked at the TV. And when I start singing to it, man, he just gets so joyous, you know.
Like, what does he do? Does he move around, smile, or
He
what?
smiles and starts trying to hop and stuff. So now that you know,
That kid's gonna like music.
Right.
Any son of Diablo is gonna be
Right,
into music,
right.
bro.
yeah, as a matter of fact, like my other son, you know, I was in prison 10 years, and my other son Giovanni, you know, now he's 23. But when I first came out, it's a trip because he liked all the same music I liked. He loved Eazy-E, Malcolm McLaren. And you know, I was never really influencing him directly with that. He might have heard it here and there as a toddler because I went away when he was like 2 years old. But I think some of that memory is in our cells, you know, in the
For
DNA,
sure.
Absolutely.
our traits.
Or even like in the unconscious, in the back of your mind when you're little. Maybe you don't know, but those vibrations came
Yeah.
in there. And
Right, they're there, and
Yeah.
they just need to be reawoken again. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like I got a homeboy named Rafa I grew up with. He used to live on 16th. He was like the only guy, you know, that I grew up with around there that him and Oscar de la Torre, but they're like the only, and they come out of the same apartment, which is kind of interesting. And it was a very poverty-stricken apartment building. But Rafa, it's interesting because Rafa was one of the only ones that didn't become a gang member. You know, Rafa would have his tie-dye shirts on, and he would have like them ponchos on, and he was like he like Jimi Hendrix. Everybody else like EPMD at the time. You know what I mean?
So
And
what
Run
was he
DMC.
like, a hippie surfer type dude?
He wasn't a surfer, but he was like a hippie type dude, exactly. And you know, so I tripped out because, as a matter of fact, this is a little side note, but there was a little white kid. His name was Jamie. And like in the early '80s, we were all popping and stuff. And I remember little Jamie. He was younger, a few years younger than us. He came up to Rafa. Rafa didn't even know how to pop and stuff, but he came up to us and he said, "Hey guys, can you guys teach me how to crack dance?" He said, "My mom will pay you." You know what I'm saying? And then Rafa said, "Okay, yeah, we can." And they became buddies, but he was really trying to say break dance.
Right.
But Rafa nicknamed him Cracker, but they were like good buddies. And then he introduced them to these other little white kids and they would smoke bud together.
Right.
Like they might go on a tree and smoke bud on 16. we call him Nature Boy. And so it's a trip because he was like their guru, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He looked like an Indian. He was really dark. I used to call him Gaddafi. He looked like Gaddafi. But he was like all these little white kids' guru.
Yeah.
He happened to be my favorite crime partner because we loved to go steal, you know. When we were kids like 12, 13, we'd go stealing on bikes, stealing stereos and pullouts and all that. And we you know, when we would go stealing, one time we were rolling up a joint and I rolled up a real grass joint with real grass. and I gave it to this homeless dude. And like I said, Rafa, he was like a Care Bear, you know?
Yeah.
And then he said, when we're riding away on our bikes all high, because we took a little break at Douglas Park over there on Wilshire, just so we could blaze up and then keep looking for stereos or whatever we're going to steal.
Yeah.
And I remember Rafa said, "Man, that was really cool, Los, that you gave that dude a joint, man. That was fatty too, Los." I said, "Hey, Rafa, that wasn't no real weed. That was grass." Homie he said, "What?" I said, "Man, that was real grass." And I started laughing, and he said, "Man, that's fucked up. You cold, man. You shouldn't, motherfucker. Why you do that for? That's fucked up."
Yeah. Guy's already down on his luck.
But the whole reason I'm telling you that is that, you know, I went looking for my other son, which is like, he's like 30 now, you know?
Man,
and
you just spreading that seed.
yeah. I went looking for him, but this kid opens the door wearing one of them ponchos, you know, like them I don't know what they're made of. Mop head material. I don't know.
Like kind of like a Southwestern style poncho.
Exactly. You know, Mexican.
That was a big thing for a long time. Yeah.
And this kid opens the door where my son lives at, and he's like 32. You know what I'm saying? He was like his age at that time, a little younger. And I look at this guy, and I ask for my son, but I'm looking at this guy, and I said, "Hey man, who's your father?" And I said, "You got any family from Santa Monica?" He said, "Yeah, all my family." I said, "Who's your father?" He said, "My father is Rafa." And I said, "No wonder.
Really?
You look exactly like him."
Dressed like him too.
And he was blazing weed. He was just exactly like
He was
him.
born into a poncho.
And I talked to Rafa later on because he's deported. And, you know, Rafa never really raised his son either, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just tripped out how so much similarities in the voice and just like their demeanor and everything. And
So you're saying that impression, that didn't just come from influence because he wasn't around that much. So it must have come from like the DNA or whatever.
right, just like I was saying about how my son liked Eazy-E and all these other groups that I used to love, you know, that I used to listen to.
Man, you listen to
Let me tell you a crazy story like that. Like, you met Joe Shock, the owner of my Sober Living.
Yeah.
I think you might have met him too. But anyways, the owner of the Sober Living that I was at, half Chicano, half white.
Right.
Mom grew up, said that the father left. He never met his father. Father left and took off, whatever, when he was a little kid. Right? This guy grows up with his mom, Orange County, in Santa Ana, you know, and it's into dope, this whole thing. But as he grows up, as he starts getting older, he loves two things. He loves hockey.
Wow.
Which is like a brown dude from Orange County.
Yeah,
like in
that's-
hockey is strange.
Right.
Right.
And he's fascinated by hunting. And he began to hunt. And he go out and he fucking has elk on his wall and fucking huge game, dude. And he goes and he's been hunting for years. At 37, he gets a phone call from his real dad.
Big Papa.
Wants to meet him. His dad's been living in Montana
Of
for
course.
years.
Right.
Dad lives on a farm.
Wow.
Hunts, hockey, Stanley Cup. Never met the guy. Never
incredible.
met him. And
what I
now
mean?
they're like they're really close now. You
That's
know,
crazy.
But is that crazy, bro?
That's beautiful, man.
It is beautiful, but it's just like
You
what
never
you're
know.
saying.
Yeah.
It's like what you're saying. I think that shit runs
was
deeper.
Was his dad the white guy?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So the white
In
and
Montana
Mexican,
and the hunting and the hockey. But he grew up with a.
but
I
he
mean,
never met him.
But that makes it more, you know, relevant because the mother was Mexican, so he grew up more as a Chicano, you know.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
but there's so many. There's a million psychological studies done of apparently there was an institution where a doctor had talked to the adoption agency ahead of time and said, "Listen, if you ever get triplets or twins, break them up. Let them go out to different families because I want to follow what happens to them."
Oh, I see.
Right, and
Whoa.
see.
Sound
So-
like Mangala.
It's not far off, dude. And they actually wound up getting sued decades later, and the university had to pay some money or something.
Behind the
But
separation of them?
yeah, because so there was a line of thought at the time that like in adoptions, it's not good. This is early, like we're
Okay.
talking 40s and 50s, okay?
Right.
Not 80s and 90s. So there was a line that was thinking that separate brothers and sisters because it's harder to adopt them out and we don't want any
Exactly.
memories and all the shit. Let them
Yeah.
live their separate lives. So it wasn't necessarily wrong,
I understand.
but he also did it secretly without telling anybody, so nobody could have an informed choice when they give their kids up for adoption that they're going to get separated. And definitely for the purpose of studying this particular issue, which is, hey, is it the family you grew up in, the culture, or is it biology?
Right.
And they came away with that. It's a lot of biology.
That's a trip, dude.
There was one where these two separated brothers, right? They didn't know about each other at all. And the way these guys
But they met in prison.
they met in a bar. And they were that was like their friends, different friends were like, so like they were both at this location on vacation at a convention, at a fireman's convention.
They were both firemen?
They were both firemen, but they didn't know it. right?
Wow.
So they were constantly getting hit up by people like, "Hey, Bob, what are you doing?" And the guy was like, "I don't know you. What do you mean?" And they're like, "What? What are you goofing around?" And,
Right.
my name's Jake, whatever. And so anyway, they came together at the convention and they discovered that not only did they both become independently from two different states and cities or whatever, firemen, but they both had handlebar mustache. They looked identical, wore the same, almost the same clothes, same facial hair, everything.
I think
That's
it has a
interesting,
lot
man.
to do with genes. Then that's
Definitely,
crazy,
man.
right?
But just like the career is like, man, that has to be like 1 in a million, you know?
Right.
The
Career
career
choice.
choice.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
crazy, bro.
Right.
It is.
Interesting, man. You know,
Let me ask you, Diablo. Like, you know, I mean, I have so many different feelings about. For one, my grandson. When I spend time with him, it feels like I've been given like another opportunity to do parenting over again, right? In many ways, right?
man. Yeah.
But I also feel like at my age and me being a completely different man when I had kids to now, that so much has changed. I want to know from you, bro. Like you've had kids, you've got some kids at multiple ages.
Right.
What is like? What's so? Explain to us what's so different today. That was, I mean, it's like day and night. I know that, but kind of like, give us some of the like factors of like how and what's so different today than when you had kids earlier in your life.
difference like night and day, man. I think I'm a little bit more wiser now, and I appreciate life a little bit more, you know. And I was definitely never like part of getting up at 3 a.m. and you know, feeding the child and burping the child and lulling him to bed. So I never did none of those things. So now I have a lot of respect for women that do that, you know.
It's interesting. How does that change your feeling besides just having more respect for women, but being a man and being in touch with your baby in that kind of way? What does it do?
Man, you know, when I look in his eyes and stuff, and it, you know, sometimes it makes me very happy, definitely. But a lot of times, you know, it kind of makes me sad, you know, like, man, I got to make sure I'm here for this little guy, you know. Like when you know, once in a while, you know, risky things do come my way sometimes, you know, and it's it hurts, man, because I don't want to go through that misery again, and that would be a new misery to me after, you know, having that love and then missing it again, you know. And you know,
I gotta think that for like an infant boy, 5 months old, who needs so much help right now, right?
yeah,
that having a wiser Diablo available to you is like a massive, like upshot, like a massive thing, right?
yeah.
For sure.
I love him, man. It's like before he was here, I remember I was rolling down the street with a buddy of mine, one of the homies, and he was complaining about, you know, he had girl problems, and he's telling me about this dude that she's with now, and I'm like, man, the bitch ain't no good. Why you worried about it for, man? Just move on. He's like, no, man, but this and that and this and that, and then he tells me, and this ain't, you know, he keeps telling me about it the whole night, and I've been having some drinks, and I'm thinking, it's starting to make me angry. He's getting in my head. Then he telling me it ain't the first time. This is the second bitch he done, the same dude done that to me with, you know, done that shit to me. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah.
Twice.
And I'm like, man, I said, man, I say, hey, man, I don't know about you, homie, but, you know, I will get mine. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna let him do me twice like that. I said, shh. You know, I started like really hearing his complaints and stuff.
Right.
And I even got to the point where I said, man, why don't you say, I've been calling dude up, you know, because my boy, this is one of them bullies.
Yeah.
You know? I even tell him, I said, hey, man, you can't be gorilla pimping these hoes no more. They're pretty independent, homie. Yeah. You can't just whoop them and they're going to listen to you. Not no more, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to be nice to him, man, you know? But I'm telling dude, I said, man, well, I said, man, I would try to get mine, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And then he said, I've been calling him, but he don't answer. Or I know where he's at. I said, well, go get at him. I said, get down with him. And I'm going to be in the bushes. If I see him getting the best of you, I'm going to come out, man. I'm going to come out the bushes. We're going to hurt that boy. That's how, but now,
right.
I'm not going to put myself out there for nobody. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm gonna save my penitentiary chance taking for mine. You know what I mean?
Right, like for a real thing. Hey,
I'm gonna save my penitentiary.
Man, bro.
Well,
'cause-
I gonna waste
For
it
my
on
own
some
shit. I ain't gonna
fucking
waste
broken
it on
heart
you.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I love growing up, the way I did. I don't know if I love it, but I dealt with it and I put up with it. But sometimes when I see pictures of myself in group gang photos as a kid, I'm like, man, this dude right here no good. This one turned out bad. Like, what was I doing? You know what I'm saying? Putting myself out there. Like, if I was smart back then, I would have been the guy behind a tree or something.
Right.
And because I was actually, not just a gang member, I was a gangster. So I lived, underground style, so, but putting yourself out there, being flamboyant, you're going to just get gaffled up like John Gotti.
Attracting attention.
But, if it was about paper, then I should have just been, an associate of them guys, because you need to get along, but you know what I mean? But I don't regret nothing I've done. I'm proud of it, but it's just a lot of suffering,
But that means that it wasn't just about the paper.
I think too.
No, it's not just about that. Your freedom. You can't put a price on that. But if I was, it's just like putting yourself out there, bro. So if I would have been, if I would have known what I know now, I would have been low key. As a matter of fact, I tell my sons, not the baby, he don't know that he's too small. But I tell my other son, if I could have done it over, I'll be a geek, because a geek is going to be more happy than a thug. Thugs come from guys that want attention in the class and stuff, that have been hurt somehow. They had trauma, and they just, they feel they need to, like stand out in the crowd. So I would do a lot of ignorant things,
Yeah, I
And,
do know.
I'd have to say too, though, D. Like I think there would have to be a big portion of your career that I think a lot other people from the area would agree that you were a lot smarter than the average bear, bro. Like when he says he was living the gangster life, I can attest to it, bro. He is doing all that, bro. And in a lot of ways, I looked at you as like, this motherfucker's one step ahead of the fucking cops, dude, all the time. He's slick until you weren't, right?
Yeah.
But I remember like motherfuckers just being like, people look at him and be like, man, I'd have other dudes from other neighborhoods in the Four Corners telling me how slick he was. Mm-hmm. Or the first person they hit me up is, Diablo. Like I had these. So, there was a side of you though too, dog, that you were moving in ways that nobody was moving in,
Yeah, man. That's why I think how much more better it would have been if I would have just remained low key. But then again, I can't say that, man, because you can't look back in retrospect and say you could have done something better. If you didn't do it better, that's on you. You know what I mean? But I'm very proud of the way I grew up, and I love my homies, and I love the school that I come from, which, the street school portion of my education. And, I don't regret nothing, man. And like people that I talk to, sometimes they said, "Oh, you don't talk about that." I said, "Why not? Shit, I ain't ashamed of it." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that just because you can look back and say maybe I could have done things a little differently or better is not the same thing as regret.
Right.
Right. Like,
Right.
like I get it, man. Like all of us, whatever paths we've taken, time goes one way,
Yes, sir.
so you can't go back.
No.
But at the same time, you shouldn't be, I don't think a person or a man especially should be prevented from reflecting on their life and taking new lessons.
Yeah.
And then made to feel like, well, that's regret, or you shouldn't be thinking about
Right.
that, because that's what makes an older man
wise.
Right, exactly, an advisor.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, man, there's a lot of people in your shoes, right, at your time in life that wouldn't have the courage to take on an infant. I don't think.
Nah, hell no.
Right?
I'm on it, dog, and I see it, bro. And to me, it means a lot because I know I know where Diablo comes from and some of his experiences.
Yeah.
And step up. And it's not even just the baby. It's all about it's a relationship as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot of different things.
Right.
Yeah, man. And when my mother died a couple years back, I was like, well, Now because you know most of my family is in Texas, in El Paso, Texas, and you know, when my mother died a couple of years back, I remember one morning just thinking, well, now you're all alone. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You ain't got no mother. You never had a father. I mean, you know.
Right.
Now you're alone. You know, all your relatives and cousins and everybody's in El Paso. No more family in Santa Monica. I got some family in LA and South Central, but they're like from my other side of the family, not the closer ones that I grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, so this is getting close to, I mean, like one closer step to loneliness, but not really loneliness, but just being alone, man, because I ain't got no loneliness up here. That's weakness to me, man.
No, but I think I understand. Like when my dad died and my mom died, I definitely had the sense of
You're on your own.
Being alone.
You're on your own. Like I knew the world made a certain kind of sense while they were there to tell me shit. Right? Like I knew they either liked it or didn't like it, approved or didn't approve. Now that it's gone, I really am just making my own decisions.
Right. Maybe that's what it was, and like, damn, my mother ain't gonna be on me no more. Or call me mijo, you know what I mean? Not that she was very, very like kind-hearted like that. She's kind-hearted in her own way. She was a very noble woman, but she was very tough. She talked a lot of shit to me, but at the same time, she did love me, and cared about me. So I'll miss that voice, and so just when I was at that point, all of a sudden, out of curiosity, I did the DNA thing.
Oh, dude, you gotta hear this.
Yeah.
You gotta hear this, dude.
Yeah, I did the Ancestry.com thing. I was just interested to see what kind of bloodline I got.
Right, Bulgarian.
Yeah, because I look in the mirror, I say, man. I put a towel on, and I say, man, with a towel on my head, I could run a 7-Eleven, or you know what I mean.
You could be from anywhere almost.
Yeah, so
right,
I was just interested.
Yeah.
And it came back, the Ancestry.com.
Wait, before you say it, right? What did you did this cheek swab, or what did you do?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine it. You ordered it online, and the thing came, and you broke
kit.
it. You got the kit out and everything, and you did it all, right? You said it. Okay. Then the results come back, and?
Yeah, and it was like 34% Spanish from Spain, and then like 28% indigenous from different parts of Mexico, like Chihuahua, Zacatecas, and Durango.
Yeah.
And it tells you like the names of the tribes, and it went down the line. I got a little French. I had some Northern African, which is probably Arabic, and then Bantu, and so it goes down in percentages, but 100%. So that was cool. But then I had somebody contact me, send me an email. A girl sent me an email, and she said, "Hi." She said, "I'm reaching out to you because I was looking at my father's bloodline DNA, and you're my brother." And you have
what?
Yeah, she said you're my brother, and you have two other sisters and 3 brothers on top of that.
What?
And she said two of your sisters are out of wedlock, such as yourself. That my father,
such as yourself.
Yeah, that my father had. And I'm like, oh really? And I said, what's your father's name? Is it Amador? You know what I'm saying? Because my mother, the only man I ever seen her with, she introduced to me led me to believe it was my father. I think she probably felt sorry for me, and probably they were in cahoots, and she was like, just tell that little motherfucker you his father so he don't feel.
What?
Yeah, but he never acted like a father, wasn't a father to me, so I really didn't care. You know what I mean? It wouldn't affect me one way or the other. So she said, no, that's not my dad's name. My dad's name is Andres, so Fragoso. And I'm like, I said, I don't know about that. But then she sent me pictures, and they all had the thick eyebrows like me. And then they all looked like me. She sent me a gang of pictures, and
were you tripping?
I was tripping, man. But, it goes back to what I was saying. Like, just when I thought I was alone in the world, all of a sudden I got a new baby. You know what I mean? I got brothers and sisters and a father, and they actually came down to visit me. They live in Las Vegas now, but in the 80s, 70s, they still live here on the west side. And what's the trip is that 2 of my sisters are also from Santa Monica.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, and one of my sisters actually lived on the same street because I lived on 17th first, but then a few years later we moved to Euclid, which is really 13th Street, in the same little area between Pico and Michigan. But on the other side of the freeway is Colorado, and one of my sisters was born and raised there.
It's a few blocks away.
Yeah, just jump over the freeway. So, and my other sister lived on 19th Street for a minute, I believe, on 19th in between, in the hood part.
So it is in the DNA.
Yeah,
around, huh,
but
your dad?
yeah, my dad, and
Wait, what was your dad's name? Your biological father?
Andres Fragoso.
So when you heard that name, it didn't mean anything to you at that time?
No, no.
You thought that the other dude was.
I thought I wasn't sure
Amador.
because my sister Vanessa is the one that contacted me, and it's funny because I was like, really, wow, you know what I mean? Because she's telling me that these girls, later on I found out exactly who they were, but at the moment, I didn't know yet. But she was telling me, your sister Rocio, your sister Alva, and then I was telling her how close in proximity we were and stuff.
Yeah.
And then my sister Vanessa said, she said, that's why we made him take the DNA test. We were thinking to ourselves, what was this man doing? Just going door to door? 'Cause he's like me. He had 4 babies mamas.
Right.
And
But they your sister sent you pictures and it looked like you in a dress.
no, no, you almost got me.
He tried to get
got
you.
me.
He tried to get
No,
you.
my father was a pretty handsome man.
He sent me a picture of his dad. His pops was a G.
Right.
Yeah, and
right. No, I'm just saying it's funny. Could you see the
He looked like
resemblance? in your
Vicente
sisters?
Fernandez.
I see the
bro.
resemblance in my brothers and me. They actually think I look the most like my father than
Oh,
her
of
brother.
course, handsome.
But-
Come on.
But it's a trip because they came down here. I've been to Vegas too to visit them, and they're great people, man.
You visited them in Vegas?
Yeah,
What was
yeah.
that like to see them for the first time? I mean, did you feel something?
The first time they came to visit me here in L.A.
Did you feel something?
At first, I was kind of nervous to meet, some people that I never really met, but in just a matter of minutes, I warmed up to them, and it was just like I was with I felt like real family. Like
Right.
they are real family.
Right.
And her
great.
mom, which is obviously not my mom, but my father's wife, she's so sweet of a lady too, very understanding. Because the way my mom is, she would have said, man, we ain't going to go visit that motherfucker.
All right.
But she was a really nice lady. But what's interesting is when I went to visit them in Vegas, my father's up there in age, he's like 84 or 85.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. So as this is all going down,
Right.
does he know that you exist?
He didn't know.
Wait a second. So he's still alive, and you're gonna go see your real dad for the first time.
Yeah.
Holy.
Well, they
fuck.
brought him first here, and then I went over there and visited them, me and my son Giovanni. But they were talking about what's the craziest thing that ever happened to you and stuff. They're sharing stories, and then my son Giovanni started telling them about an acid trip. And I was friend with, and I was like elbowing, like, man, come on, just out of respect for their mother.
Right.
But she was really cool, man. She was very open minded. They even shared some stories about hallucinogens themselves, but they were so cool. But then they shared a story about my father. They told me that. Tell them what happened to Dad. Oh, Dad killed a man in Mexico about 6-7 years ago.
Wow.
And I'm thinking to myself,
6-7 years ago.
6-7 years ago, he was in the late 70s.
Right.
He killed somebody, you know what I mean? I'm like, wow.
That's old school.
Yeah. And then they tell me the story. They tell me that they tell me some man came to the door. It's probably people from the same town where he's from in Mexico. And my father apparently opened the door and this man shot him in the chest. So my father rushed him and they were, like wrestling for the gun. And my father actually got control of the gun and shot dude in the neck, killed him.
Self-defense.
Yeah, and then, but he almost had a little problem because he moved the body, because when he dropped the dude, he needed to go get help for himself. And he grabbed him and dragged him out, you know what I mean? So they're saying because he moved the body, but, it's funny because his wife said, well, I went to school with the DA, and he said, plus a little, she went like this, showing a little stack, and I work in Mexico, but, his
Just
wife,
like it works everywhere else, brother.
exactly.
Right.
His wife told me, I said, what happened? How come? You know? And he's cool. He's good. He got out of it, but I'm like, what happened? You know, why did he do that? And then his wife just looked and said, just some nut, some crazy guy. So I'm relating this story to my homeboy Woods, and I tell him, yeah, man, I said, I don't know, they just say he's crazy, and then Woods said, yeah, right. He probably had a baby with his wife too.
Some more dirt came out.
Yeah. But then I thought about it, and I remember this one dude in one of these gangster movies. Maybe it was Casino, but the Don was taught. He heard both sides of the stories. Maybe it was John Gotti, the movie about Gotti. But the big boss, he heard the guy's story and the other one, and he said the truth. There's three sides to the truth. There's one here and one here, and the truth is always standing in the middle. But everybody trying to tug the truth toward himself.
Right.
So who knows what the real story is? You know.
Right. I've heard a lot of stories about someone pulls a gun and then it's self-defense. Somehow we wrestled it around and it went off, and I don't know, but we had to move the body to get out the door. Whatever.
But I'm proud of my father for still being here to meet me. You know.
Yeah, that's amazing.
He's a good man.
What do you make of that? What do you make of the fact that you've been through so much, you had understanding of your life for so long, and here you are, you've got on the one hand the future, right, this infant boy, and on the other hand now you've got a connection to your real father.
Man, it's pretty cool, man, because I would like to go to the part of Mexico they're from and visit them. That's pretty cool, man, you know.
Damn,
I like
dude,
people,
that's a
man.
trip.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, you know.
I feel like you're in a really almost like meaningful part of your life now. Like
finally.
Been a long time coming.
Yeah. I think everything that we go through is for a reason.
Right.
If we take advantage of the message, you know.
I love, you know what? I definitely, man, just the different things you've been through, bro, your life, and to see you at this stage. I mean, just having a kid is one thing. Having a relationship at this age, with the type of luggage that we have, and learning how to, stay. For me, the relationship's been learning how to stay, not run out of the relationship, or not leave, or not get, But
I have some of those struggles, but
I do
got
too.
a great girl, so we work through it,
Yeah. But there was a time when you weren't willing to work through it.
No, that was just,
and work through it in another way.
Yeah.
But
my ignorance was reigning supreme in that department,
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, you gotta hit a wall or get burned up a little bit before you finally, because everyone tells you what the right thing is, but you're not gonna do it until you fucking you figured it out for yourself. Okay, this ain't working.
Wisdom's an interesting thing. Wisdom's an interesting thing, dude, and it's summed up pretty much the way Diablo sums it up, as we've all heard it summed up over our lives.
Yeah.
If I knew then what I know now.
Right.
That's what them dudes, older guys, were always telling me, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's just how it works. You find out the secrets once you're unable to do certain
Once you
things.
pass
That's
that
how
threshold.
you pass. Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's like that's the dichotomy of life, though.
And when you're a young knucklehead and an older guy says that to you, that almost makes you think like, yeah, well, you fucked it up. I ain't gonna do. It's gonna be different for me.
Yeah, bro.
Right.
Sure, of course.
Life's
That's the
a
answer.
trip. Life's a trip.
It really is.
But I mean, the thing of it, this is the part, because I'm usually, I'm at least come off, or I'm framed as or accused of being like maybe overly analytical or overly logical. But when I hear stories like yours, Diablo, I do think like maybe there is something bigger, because like you said, man, I mean, we've been with you. So we've seen, Steve's been with you, but I've seen you since the show or whatever, right?
Right.
And so I've seen even some evolution and progress and different things happening for you, even just since the short time that I've seen you to this point, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the fact is that as you are learning how to become a father, it's almost as if a door opened for you to find out this other information about fatherhood that was hidden from you for a while.
That's interesting.
Because he became willing or open to it.
Right, like somehow
Chumahan
it's
always
related.
blows my mind because he
yeah.
sees so much, that I missed,
I mean, I appreciate that. I look at you as actually a very creative thinker. Because he definitely comes at stuff from a different angle.
Bro,
Whatever, right?
Diablo's different than anybody I've met.
Have you guys ever had Oscar de la Torre on here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, a
we've
couple
done
of
so.
times.
He has a way of looking at things that's pretty interesting, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, he does. But we're talking about you.
Nah, I've always said that about Diablo. He's always been worldly. He's always thought in broader terms. He, just from the taste of the music, the style, all the different things. He's always thinking, even what he reads and different things.
Right.
I think, bro, but that's a lot of, I think, the reasons that I get along with Los, why I appreciate him so much in my life. And listen, dude, we get into. He's been busted. I've been busted. We've been around people that kind of come from where we come from. Yeah. And I'd find myself a lot of times in like circles of dudes, and sometimes the conversations I was like, I think too broad for the dudes that I'm sitting at this table with, you know? I had to dumb down a lot of times just to be in. You know what I'm saying?
And that's sad.
It is. But when me and D talk more and more, like I'm always able to be that creative dude and talk about those things with D, and he gets it because he's that same type of dude. Yeah, I'm paying attention to that other shit over here.
Right.
I want to know what's up with that over there. Or I find things intriguing about world and history and political science and, all this shit. And I think like-minded people are going to,
We're trying to build,
But also, we've had a lot of different types of people coming through the door. I don't think I've ever seen anybody as excited as you were, Big Lux, about showing or exposing or disclosing Diablo's writing. I mean, dude, before you came in, Big Lux was in our ear like, "Oh, we're gonna do this. You're not gonna believe it's gonna blow your mind." Blah blah blah. You were very excited about that.
Yeah, dude. I wish I could write like this dude.
Yeah,
I swear to God.
Yeah, but I wish I had more time to write. I started writing some stuff about just food and relating that and analyzing things in jail around food.
Mm-hmm.
We
like what? What are you talking about?
Just like life, man. Just like how many things have taken place in the chow hall, and I don't know, man. I just worked it out somehow where like food was the center of it, but all these other little subtopics come out of it.
He's right. Yeah. See, that's the type of shit I'm talking about. And when he reads some of the stuff he read to us in his poem, you're like, I can't write that way because my head doesn't think in those types of terms.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like. But all of it is like candy. Dude, when you talk about the Sherm, motherfucking bubbles and fucking like, it's just, I don't know, and you're able to tie it all together. But yeah, brother.
Well, you know what, man? A lot of that came from sitting in a cell, and you really have a little bit more time to be creative, and you kind of like you're desensitized to a lot of stuff around you. So
absolutely.
You're able to describe a little bit more fuller, You don't have a text message or a television on or something.
Right. Absolutely. You got to start using all your senses and creativity.
Yeah.
But you know what, Diablo? Like, have you ever thought of maybe taking a look at the whole amount of stuff that you have writing-wise and pulling small pieces almost together and compiling? You could do a book of just your writing, bro. You could release a little book. You know what I'm saying? Like
it doesn't have to be in chronological order. I think that's what overwhelms me. It overwhelms me.
No, I don't think it needs to be.
So like, I look at all those stacks of my writings that I did in jail, and I'm like, man, that's
that's money, dude. That's gold right there, bro.
What would it look like just as an experiment? Right, you could take all that, put it into a digital format. Okay.
Yeah.
And what if you randomized it? Like, let's say on a calendar day, right? Like, so 365 days, each writing gets slotted into it, but you don't put any thought into which one goes where. It's just random, but the order is set up like that. And you set it up, your book, to be like either, deep thoughts or interesting thoughts or whatever it is, writing prompts.
Right.
Okay? For creative minds from somebody like you. 365 days. All you have to do is randomly slot it out and then just let it do exactly what it's still doing and nothing else. So, I mean, what do you think?
That's smart.
What do you think that would do? or how like they would produce some interesting effects.
I would need help with that because, man, that's when I look at all those paperwork with different random writings.
Yeah.
I do have them separated. I do I have one thing just was called a whole folder just said miscellaneous thoughts, and
I like that for the name.
That's perfect for the name.
And I have another. I had another folder, and some girls are probably gonna get mad because I used to write to several girls at a time. And sometimes I would come up with some beautiful lines, man.
Yeah,
like I'll say,
of course.
like I would say,
Of course you would.
I would say I was lost in the sea of loneliness, and all of a sudden this little island shows up with a ray of sunlight pointing to it.
Yeah,
you were that little island, baby. So
shipwrecked.
I would be like, that's a good one. So then I would write that on a piece of paper, and then in parentheses I would put all the girls I used it on already, so I don't do it again.
Right, smart. Yeah, that's smart.
I don't know where I heard it, and it might have been a stand-up comedian who was just saying it, and they were doing a little part, and the chick was kind of healthy, and she was like,
Yeah.
Have you ever dated a prisoner in prison? And she starts talking about it. She goes, and you hear the crowd laugh, and they go, wait a minute. If you haven't dated an incarcerated man, you haven't really dated yet. You know?
Right.
She's going,
Is that
and
right?
she goes, they ain't the best boyfriends. They have the best conversations, even though they aren't long on the phone.
Yeah.
They write you the most beautiful letters, 20-page letters. Like,
With beautiful penmanship.
right, dude.
Chicano.
And I'm coming from somebody who's been incarcerated, so I'd see this going on all day long. I'd see guys with 4 hand-drawn envelopes
That's a
out their
good point.
cell, right?
Wow.
But she
Tell
was
them,
like,
tell them
she
about
was like,
the envelopes, Lucky. Just the envelopes that come from the homies.
oh yeah, they'd
I'm
be
not talking about
beautiful
everybody.
roses and like in colors made from candies. The outside of the envelope would be like that, dude.
Yeah,
the
man.
work that they put in.
Even
And,
just the pencil drawing on the outside of
bro,
they're
and
beautiful.
And the handwriting,
the
bro.
handwriting, the penmanship. Yes.
Dude, the writing's breathtaking, bro. Better than any tattoo artist's handwriting. And I'm like, it's coming from this guy. But the thing is that women, there's a reason why a lot of these women date dudes that are busted, bro. Like,
It's like Danny's Mexican Shakespeare almost.
it is, yeah.
Just all the romance put into that stuff. You know?
Right.
Yeah, a lot, dude. A lot of Louis L'Amour's.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you're reading all them books where you're pouring all that shit back. You're looking over at the book. I'm going to take that little line from there, you know?
Yeah.
Louis L'Amour was in Western books.
Right. Highly
And then there was
dramatic.
another one called Long Arm, but
Long Arm.
He would shoot his dick off more than his gun. They were like really very what do they call explicit details in the sex parts.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those are popular in prison.
Yeah,
They're like novellas for guys.
Yeah.
You know?
You see a guy reading a Long Arm book. Next thing you see is him putting a curtain
up.
getting baby oil down.
That's why they call
I
it
read
the
a
long
couple of those
arm.
in the hole, bro, and them motherfuckers had me twisted up. Yeah, the nipples were protruding through her sweater. Yeah, all that shit. Yeah.
And exquisite detail.
Yeah.
Oh, Long Arm.
Even the killings too. The killings they'd be putting in there good too.
Yeah. Long. I might have to get one of those just to check it out.
They're pretty interesting.
Really, you know what? I tell you, man. When the first time that I had got to the hole, I got books and my cellie didn't tell me, don't read the whole book. Just slow it down. Read about Wednesday, because I think we got our books on like Sunday or Monday. She's like, make that book last till Wednesday, and then we trade. Then we both got 2 books a week, right? Because you get one per week. I didn't know that shit. Man, I got a good book the first time, and it was like a Tom Clancy. Bro, I couldn't put the fucker down, dude. Because you don't have TV, you don't have nothing.
Right.
And dude, reading's way better than TV or a movie, bro. Reading's the best. That shit fucked us up. When you're reading and you don't have that shit, it's better than TV or a movie.
Right.
Detail.
The detail. It's like I could not. So I'm up all night. I'm up until like 5 a.m. I'm putting the book down and just go to sleep until chow comes.
You're an
I
avid reader.
finished that motherfucker, dog, in like a day and a half. And I'm like, hey, bro, what's up with it? He goes, bro, I'm only fucking 20 pages into this book. Read the book again. And so I started having to pace myself, but I couldn't get enough books. And I probably spent over a year in the hole.
Damn.
2 different things. And I couldn't get enough. But it's like you said, it's the time that you have. Like, I could never read out here the way I read in there. You had all the time available to you. You don't have all the distractions. You're left alone. You can really dig in, bro. And I got to tell you, man, I really enjoyed reading a couple books a week. I needed more. It's great, bro.
What do you think it does
is.
to your mind to bring in stories and stuff like that through reading versus watching it?
It's more of an escape. It's more of an experience. It's deeper. It's more meaningful. It
Definitely.
resonates and stays with you.
I used to love Lucky, like reading a lot of stories about, like I used to like those old National Geographic magazines.
Oh,
And I remember I read about this kid that made his own. I don't know if he made it, but he definitely sailed, like maybe not around the whole world, but he beat some records at the time in the 60s. But while you're reading the book, you're getting all the detail, the trouble that he had, the storms out in the ocean,
Right.
the loneliness, the solitude, and you're in your cell, especially like if you're in the hole, that cell becomes like you're in the sail ship with the guy. It's like you're out there, out in the ocean all alone, because the cell is your own world and nothing else exists. So it's like that solitude. I could like it. I don't know. It's just something about those books of survival, especially out in the ocean, will really get to me.
Solitude and survival. That those were themes of your actual life.
Right.
But you want to know something,
So I could
Juman?
relate.
It's also kind of like you said it before too. You said that our kind of society is growing up from watching all these movies that the
Yeah.
tough part of the struggle and things are bad.
Yeah.
In the movie, you watch it and it lasts about like 7-8 minutes. It does them so, and then they're winning, right? The
Yeah.
hard work part. And that's what you don't have in a book.
Right.
In at least the books I'm reading,
Right.
when they're going through the struggle and the hard parts, you're like going through it. You're like, fuck, this dude almost, okay, now he's fuck it, man, now they did what? Fuck it. And it's not overnight. You got to keep reading, and this shit's happening over years or whatever.
Right.
And, and you really get that feeling of struggle.
Yeah, you get the feeling of struggle, I think, partially revealed to you because you're inside the character's head. When you're watching the movie, you sort of in the back of your mind already know that Rocky's going to get to the end and win. So whatever this difficulty during the hard part is,
Right.
he's going to get through it.
You're not him, though.
Exactly. When you're reading the book, though, the author's got to take you to on that Wednesday,
bro.
where it might
That's
not go
it.
good.
And you're not on autopilot. Your
Right.
brain's actually doing the work for you through your mind's eye what you're seeing.
Right.
So it becomes that much more, deeper for
Right.
you. Yeah.
I was just checking out, you were talking about this long arm, and it's part of a genre that's called adult Western.
Exactly.
Right. So, and it's different from classical Western because it's much more explicit in the sex and violence.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That was almost like the next closest thing you can get to a smut book in prison.
Right.
Dude, the list of these books, there's like 100 and like, there's 200, there's 300, there are 436 long arm books, and the final one is Long Arm and the Model Prisoner. That's the final book, published in 2015.
I was going to say, because probably 75% of those books are in prisons.
Yeah.
I'm telling you
That's
right
incredible.
now, dude. I'm gonna grab at least 5 of these and just see what's up with these.
Bro, they're psychologically gonna fuck you up, bro. Because those motherfuckers do something to you, bro. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because you're alone in there too.
Yeah,
But this shit be hitting, dog. Like you're reading and your shit's getting hard while you're reading.
Exactly.
Not kidding, bro.
I want to experience.
I was like, I read the first one and chapter into it. I was like, now I see why all these motherfuckers got all these books in their fucking.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, bro.
Before I paroled, well, you don't parole from the feds, but before I got out of the feds, like a few months into getting released, I remember this dude let me borrow a phone. My boy Silent from Wilmington, he let me borrow a phone to make a phone call that night after lockdown. So in other words, I was gonna have the phone until the morning time. And as a side note, he said, "Hey, look, Diablo, if you want to watch a porn, look, you go like this. Check this out." And then later on that night, I did what he said. I went in there and I looked. I guess, I didn't know nothing about, I wasn't really like Safari and all that stuff, but I just took the steps that he said, you go like this, like this. When I looked at it, I said, no, I couldn't look at it. It was too much. It was too much stuff that I used to like to do that I haven't done in so many years.
Yeah.
I didn't want to look at it. It's like torture.
It's like staring into the sun.
I was like, wow, people can do that still? You know what I'm saying? I said, I don't want it. I don't want. And then these guys somehow did something to the television. Well, they were watching porn every night in the day room.
In the day,
Yeah,
they rigged up the cable.
guys were like grannies with a little blanket over their lap. When that shit was
There was a blanket.
I would go to my cell, man.
Crusty shawls.
I promise, man. I used to go to my cell like after the 10, 11 o'clock, after that count was clear.
Yeah.
I watch a little. When I knew that stuff was coming, I'm gone, man. I'm not going to torture myself. You know?
Right. Who needs that mess?
Fuck.
Oh, man.
The feds. Well, brother.
Wow.
Good show.
That was a fantastic
Good show, Diablo. I got it,
sure.
man. Telling you. I got Lepke coming on, I think on the 7th, but
Lep.
I might have to get both of you guys back in here eventually one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, brother, Diablo. Devil,
Yes, sir.
1700.
Yeah.
Diablos?
Check me out on YouTube, Devil-Los at, wait, it ain't no damn at gmail.com. Shit, just Devil-Los on YouTube.
Yeah, go check him
Check
out.
out some of my little videos and some of my little content. I do it once in a while, you know what I mean? I want to do one
West
about
Side shit.
I want to do one about Nick Gabaldon and Guy Gabaldon. Two badass Chicanos, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come on.
From the 50s.
Come on.
Yeah.
Bad brother. One of them was from Santa Monica, but pretty interesting stuff. But you know, my content, I do it. I get at it very slow and randomly, but I'll get at it.
You
But
put
check
out
it
good
out.
shit.
Check it out.
Yeah, check it out. Go follow my
Check
dude.
out some of my old
All right?
ghetto rap songs on
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Go peep out. Fucking Diablo.
there. Yeah.
SM17.
Yes, sir.
Listen, man. We're bringing you that shit, dog, from the West Side right here tonight from Santa Monica.
That's right.
Tune up. Stay up.
Yeah.
Hey, what you got, you, man?
Hey, man.
Give it up for the city of Santa Monica while you're here tonight.
Yeah, I give it up to Santa Monica.
Damn
A beautiful city by the sea.
That's where I roam.
Right? Paradise. It's got its shadows. That's what makes it real.
The only place
All
that I
right.
call home.
Yeah.
That's right.
And how you keep yourself reflects on your way of living. What's interesting about these little models is how the artist compressed the life of a convict into this little square box, which is really all your belongings and your integrity.
Yeah, this is from his Devil-Los at YouTube. He's taking you through an artist exhibition of an artist who, what did he do? He made a model of a cell?
And it has a lot of detail, and it's like about 4 or 5. It's like 6 inches by 10 inches or something. Pretty interesting. But then I talk about the whole get down in there about ourselves and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of videos that
Go
you're not going
peep
to see.
them out, man.
Yeah,
Go peep out
that's
some
it.
content.
Yep.
Hit a like. Drop a comment. What you got, Sean?
I got www.hardluckshow.com. I also have, check us out over at Amplify. That's AMPF. What is it?
You got to tell us. homie.
LIFYD.com. That's hard dash. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
He fucked that all up.
Just
Go to Amplify.
Go to Amplified
Amplified.
and search for the Hard Luck Show.
There
You'll
you
find
go.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, big shout out to Esteban Oriol, the Soul Assassins. Big shout out to Big Diablo, my homeboy, coming through tonight and
Yeah.
blessing us.
Thank you.
And big shout out to the whole Cookies crew, Vibes crew, Burner, Chuman, Sean, Hard Luck Show,
Yeah.
and Diablo. We out of here from the West Side.
Yes, sir. Stay up.
They got a story that it's a story floating around that the brother would be like, "Hey man, like there's motherfuckers that like, hey man, yep, it's like I told you,